Okay, so it was a long day. There was a police shooting, so that was not far from here. I don't know if they killed the suspect or not, but whew, hopefully not. We were able to go through some of the stuff with Whale and Lolotai. There is just so much. Now, I have a lot of videos that have links to witnesses in nearly all of these situations. And even though my little sister's friend destroyed quite a bit, there's still a lot. There's still a lot to show motive and intent. To show that, well, I've been telling the truth all along. I've had to do desperate things to try to get help, because the systems that you believe are in place to defend people like me and to protect people like me from things like this, they don't actually exist. These places take money, and then they tell you to move, and tell you to move, and tell you to move. With Scott DaCosta, after I tried to turn in his deputies back in 2018 and the crimes that they committed, I never should have had to go back to him again. Now, I've been able to show Mandy a lot of examples of where the things that they told me that they couldn't do, they did these things for others. They did these things for Zaid Atkinson. Well, if they can't do it, then obviously they made exceptions. I showed her that the place that I was staying in, well, before Natalie was killed, that was Ken and Leah's down on South Zunai. That's in Inglewood, not Sheridan. But, of course, it was Sheridan PD who wanted to do the investigation. The problem is that they repeatedly separated me from the evidence that I was trying to use to turn in. Now, I did send her the video of the incident on the 16th of December of 2020, where I was obviously trying to turn in the sheriff. She's gotten to see herself where these officers in all of these situations, well, how they misled the situation, outright lied, made false claims, including Sheriff Scott DaCosta. So, obviously, if they're outright lying and omitting information, they're not doing their jobs. Now, there were repeated situations with these other agencies that you're supposed to go to where they were not doing their jobs. They were outright lying to me and telling me that these were not their jobs. But then again, like the situation with Polly Olson, was Scott DaCosta lying about the Nebraska State Patrol investigating that? Or no? Why is it that the Nebraska State Patrol did not do something about this situation in 2018? Now, that video, that was probably call number, they claimed that I made 17 calls. No, I made more than that. They kept telling me the Dual County Sheriff's Department tells me that they can't investigate themselves. I have to turn it into the Nebraska State Patrol. I call the Nebraska State Patrol. They tell me that I have to turn it into the Dual County. So Dual County tells me I got to turn it into the Nebraska State Patrol, who tells me I got to turn it into Dual County. So finally, they're going to send an officer or a state trooper out to talk to me, and it's not a state trooper. It's literally Scott DaCosta. Now, Nebraska State Patrol, repeatedly knowing full well that I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, repeatedly made me go to him to try to turn him in. and to try to turn in predators like Robert Warnick, where he wanted to give instructions to his deputies about what they're allowed to do, and he wanted to give me instructions, and he also wanted to talk over me. Kind of like a lot of these idiots who are like, oh, well, you know, if you just get off the internet. No, Chris Kurth is a predator in real life, okay? Robert Warnick is a registered sex offender in real life. Scott DaCosta assaulted me in real life. State Trooper Lassen assaulted me in real life, and people are all pissed off about that sticking the knee on the neck thing. They did that to me. Why is it that they're going out of their way to pretend that there was evidence that never existed? Because they were trying to prevent me from turning in evidence to the Nebraska State Patrol, and I had help at the time. My autism advocate, her name is Megan Misigatis. Now, the problem with this whole situation, I'm trying to protect people and protect people's names and, you know, so on and so forth. I can't do it. I can't. I can't afford this bullshit. I can't afford to protect Megan Misigatis' name. If she's going to not come forward with the truth, she's going to selectively omit stuff, or maybe her memory just isn't that great. But for me to be victimized because she's not an accredited advocate, she should have said that a long time ago. Like, I didn't find out that she was not an accredited advocate until, well, after I was released from prison on false charges because I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta and Robert Warnick and Leslie Snell and, of course, William Barr. Now she's gotten to see the stuff that I've been saying, the stuff that I've been telling you, the stuff you guys want to pretend that I'm crazy for saying. She gets to see it with her own two eyes, whereas you guys just want to get on here, most of you, and troll or have someone to harass or, you know, of course, entertainment. There's also the fact that she knows a lot of the parties involved. A lot of the stories that I told about street people down there, she's verified them. Now, the problem is, this is 5 years of BS to go through, and we're trying to do a crash course in less than a week. And, of course, I will be allowed a court date. Whether or not it'll be honest is to be seen. Well, it remains to be seen. Without someone there in person and court watchers to make sure that it's done right, because the whole time I was in prison they were having court dates where there was no court watchers. It was literally just my predators. And there's repeated phone calls that are recorded between me and John Starkey, who's the Dual County prosecutor. There's also the fact that I went to Joel J., who was the Dual County prosecutor before that. Joel J. helped my predators get away. The same thing with Mr. Starkey. The fact that I recorded those phone calls is extremely important because it shows that obviously there was a conflict of interest. I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, and everybody was telling me it's not their job. I mean, everybody. Now, the stuff from Megan Misigatis, I have to post it up. I can't wait on her to fucking stop bullshitting me. I can't afford it. Okay, I can't afford to just continue taking abuse because she wants to pull punches. Yeah, no. These people have done horrible shit. She's aware of it. She's taken part in the situations. The situation where I was arrested on bogus charges in a hotel room that we had to get so that I could be safe to turn in Scott DaCosta, so that I could safely go through the evidence without having to listen to people fucking scream at each other over whether or not Harley is over there fucking Robert Warnick. Like, yeah, no, I can't handle that. I can't handle 4 hours of that screaming. Meanwhile, this woman has done more than one thing that was harmful to me. And since then, she has apologized. She has told me that she's trying her best for her kids. That is great. It really is. All right? It's not okay for me to be there, especially since Scott DaCosta intimidated those people with CPS, with taking those kids, with making sure the kids stayed takeaway. I mean, this is not okay. All because he wanted to prevent me from using the internet and showing the crimes that he committed. Not okay. The other thing is, I mean, there are so many calls where I call up and I try to be calm and collective and explain what's going on, and nobody ever calls me back. It's not that I'm not trying. Now, there's a editor thing that is, hopefully I'll be able to use that tomorrow, and I'm hoping that Miss Mandy will help me to navigate it, because I need to be able to bleep out social security numbers and phone numbers. That's it. I'm not going to leave out all of the other stuff they wanted to talk about, because like I said, I was trying, and while I'm trying to explain it to people, they want to stop me and tell me about their personal lives, and that's okay. But if you can't do the job because of your personal life, you need to come forward about that. Instead of telling me, oh, you can't because this person's sick or that person's sick, you need to come forward about it. Are you legit sick? Or are you playing because you don't want to do nothing? Megan Mesgatis is not trying to be a criminal. She has expressed that she is afraid for her family. Most of these people have stated loud and clear they're afraid for their families. But there's also the fact that between her recollection and the recordings, the recordings are more accurate. The recordings show the truth of the situation, not people's faulty recollection. It also shows why it is that she has a faulty recollection, and it's not entirely faulty. It's just when you're sick, you're sick. Also, when it's been that far after the fact, like, people's recollection of the situation starts to fade. And that's part of the tactics. Now, I've also showed that these tactics are nationwide. When you try to turn in an officer, you have to have someone go in with you, or officers will commit felonies to prevent you from turning in an officer. We have seen this time and again in many other cases as well. The biggest guy here who's the most predatory, well, we can't pinpoint one. There are just too many. If you got a badge, you're on the side of people with a badge. You have absolutely no respect for the laws. You can't have any respect for the laws if you're going to put on a badge, because the rest of these guys don't respect the laws. We're expected to know the laws better than the lawyers, better than the judges, better than the police. Meanwhile, they get to use their power to manipulate the situation, and the homeless are their primary victims. People want to say, oh, well, this judge, he's like 11% more likely to lock up a black person. Yeah, he probably is. But he also, like, 90+% more likely to lock up a homeless person on bogus bullshit. When somebody is called mentally ill, they become what's called a roll-through. Anytime that person tries to turn in abuse, they roll through the jail. When the jail population gets low, they want to keep their numbers up, so you go pick up somebody like Zach Boatman. Now, although Zach Boatman is scary, I've never actually seen him assault somebody who didn't assault him first. That's part of the reason that when I was getting them child molesters out of Boulder, Colorado, I went and got Zach Boatman. I mean, I'm pretty small. If I go up to one of these child molesters and say, hey, you need to leave, they're probably not gonna. But Zach Boatman next to me, I tell them straight up, hey, I will pay for you to get on the bus. I have $5 for you to get on the bus to Denver and never come back. Now, then there's the alternate side of that. If they don't get on the bus, I do wash my hands of it. I go to mind my own business, and when that person disappears, I don't know who disappeared them. I don't know where they went. I don't know if they went up the mountain with a bottle and never came back down. I don't know if they were beaten to death. I don't know if they're in jail or prison. I give them a chance before the other people get a hold of them. That's part of the reason that people like Abel Ramos came to people like me to let me know about who the child molesters are. We're not allowed to touch them. It's considered a hate crime for us to touch them. Meanwhile, they're allowed to do whatever they want to us. Robert Warnick even admitted to being a sex offender and being on the sex offender registry and the paperwork with him. I mean, most of the stuff I've been telling you, these people admitted to, and thank goodness they did. You know, it shows that I was telling the truth. It shows that these people do exist. It shows that this is not a figment of my imagination. Now, we got a lot of stuff to go through. We got to work on the situation with Leslie Snell. And, yeah, she committed felonies. Scott DaCosta committed felonies. William Barr committed felonies. Now, it would be nice if the Martindales would come forward and be honest, but you've seen what happens when it comes to family. Yes, these families do horrible things. And it doesn't have to be the whole family. It just has to be the one rotten apple, the one child molester, the one crooked cop. And they want to protect this person and prevent this person from getting in any trouble for the crimes that they committed. Rick Martindale, yeah, we had a conversation. It was a pretty good conversation. When I explained to him that William Barr claimed that, well, Rick Martindale had talked Justine Marks, who's his daughter, or Justine Martindale is what it used to be. When William Barr was making that claim, saying that Justine's family talked her out of it, and also cited Rick in specific, like, hold on a second here. I went and talked to Rick. I did ask him. See, that's the thing about Rick, is that for like 6 months before I actually went up to his house and walked up his porch and knocked on his door to talk to him, for like 6 months, every time he saw me at Pumpkin Pantry, he talked to me. Every time he saw me walking down the street, he waved and said hello and talked to me. He had invited me to his house several times. Now, why didn't I go over to his house? Well, first of all, I was pissed off at them. I was very much surprised that Rick was talking to me after the things that William Barr had said, and you know what? I did go and talk to Rick about it. I had also been invited to the house on multiple occasions. He had talked to me on multiple occasions. When I went and knocked on the door, Pam Martindale answered the door, and she went and got Rick like I asked. I went straight to the source, because nobody else was gonna. I didn't threaten Rick. Matter of fact, I even showed him the device that I use for recording people, and I showed him that it was off. And I said, this is the one conversation you and I are going to have where this is going to be off. I'm going to shoot you straight, and I'm not talking about like shoot him with a firearm. I'm talking about be honest with you. That is a term that we use in Nebraska. We've used it in Colorado, California, Washington State. Shooting someone straight doesn't mean killing them. It means telling them the truth. Being honest and straightforward. Now, it's pretty obvious that these guys had a lot invested in trying to make sure their body cam evidence had sufficient time to be destroyed. In all of these situations, it says that the victims did not want to come forward in court, and it also said that the state lost the evidence. They didn't lose the evidence. They never sent it to North Platte to begin with, and that's legally where they were supposed to send it. they can't process their own evidence. Now, obviously, I'm having issues with both of the well, all three of the computers. This one didn't have hardly any evidence on it. The other two did. Now, having the issues that I've had with them since the Dual County Sheriff's Department got a hold of them, and then, of course, Ed. Oh my God, I really do like the guy. I understand why he lies all the time. I understand why he tries to make himself into something more than he is. Like he was in special forces and he's got a cousin that he can have military drones fly over my sister's house and all sorts of crazy schizo shit like that. But that's the thing. I'm not talking about being able to get my friends to... Sorry? I'm not talking about having my friends fly military drones over. I don't have that power, and even my friends in the military don't have that power. The people that I know in the military, like Owen Johnson, for example, he used to date Kim Jepsen. And, of course, he went into the Air Force and learned how to fly C-130s. That's a big old cargo plane. Now, does he have the ability to fly that C-130 over my sister's house? He probably could. I mean, if he, let's say he was supposed to take off from Arizona and land in, like, Memphis, Tennessee, he might be able to divert just a little bit, but he'd get in trouble for it. I mean, you're not allowed to divert flight like that. And what good would it do to do that? And would he do that for me? No. He's not going to risk losing his job, losing his career, and going to military prison just to fly over my sister's house. That is irrational thinking. And through all of this, I've had to deal with people who are irrational thinkers. When you're drunk, you're not thinking rationally. You've deprived your brain of oxygen. When you're on drugs, you are not thinking rationally. You have deprived your brain of oxygen. So it'd be nice to get help from people who are not deprived of oxygen. The other thing is getting folks to look at it and speak up, and I finally have somebody who's willing to speak up, willing to look at the evidence, actually look at it. Not somebody like Stephanie Mejia who just wanted to get drunk, trip on mushrooms, and I should specify though, mushrooms are legal in Denver. Alcohol is legal in Denver. Marijuana is legal in Denver. I didn't give any mushrooms, any marijuana, or any alcohol to Stephanie Mejia. That was all Ventus. So if you got a problem with it, go talk to him. The other thing is, she was supposed to be there to help me, and she's too busy getting drugged out of her fucking gourd and having sex with Ventus. Tomorrow, I gotta go through the videos with Ventus that are on this computer here and make sure that there's no phone numbers or anything like that, and then you guys get to listen to the stuff with Ventus. And I am absolutely certain that he is going to be extremely embarrassed. He can get over it. Now, many of these people, they did a lot to help me. Well, sort of. Without their words, none of it was help. Without them speaking up, it was all a waste of time, money, and resources, and each and every one of these people knew it. I wasn't asking them to lie. I was asking them to tell the truth every step of the way. Now, Mandy has gotten to see already probably close to a dozen situations where I've said, hey, I need you to tell the truth. That's not complicated. There's also a lot of videos to go through, and we have focused in two sections. Part of it is a situation with Leslie Snell and the protection order, but also all of the stuff that Scott DaCosta and William Barr and Robert Warnick did also goes into that. There's also, well, I had to go through about 60 to 70 different recordings just to find one in specific that was pertinent to this and important. I was finally able to find it, but I mean, I had to click a whole bunch of files. I've got literally thousands still. The situation with Megan Misigatis, I mean, she's trying to explain the situation best she can, but she's also trying to pull punches. There's also the fact that it was a while ago, and her memory is, well, like any of ours. None of us have a perfect memory. None of us. Now, I have a very good memory. I have a better memory than most, especially people like Shannon Alvarado, who, well, she drinks a lot. I've also got recordings with Shannon Alvarado. I've got recordings with Rick McCormick, who was her boyfriend at the time. I don't know if they're dating now or not. And the horrible thing about that is that she was one of my most outspoken supporters. The good thing is, maybe after all of her laundry being out in the air, maybe she dried out a bit. Yes, those were multiple references to figures of speech. Airing your dirty laundry, you know, that's a figure of speech that says letting it all out, telling everything, even the dirty, even the nitty-gritty parts. Maybe she's quit drinking. Maybe she's going to AA. Maybe she's getting the help that she needs to stop. And that would be a good start. Once she's been able to do that, once she's able to sober up and stay sober, maybe she'll be willing to come forward and tell the truth and admit that yes, her drinking affects everyone around her. The way that she acts when she's drinking affects everyone around her. Also, the fact that you can't tell an alcoholic they're an alcoholic because they'll say they've only had one drink. Well, one drink can be pretty big. And even though there's a lot of stuff that was destroyed by my sister's friend, and a lot of stuff that was destroyed by the police, and a lot of stuff that was destroyed by these people in these web sleuth groups, there's also the fact that Mandy gets to see these people, well, saying, hey, we should just all group up and complain about this and try to destroy it. You know what? That worked 4 years ago, but they changed the Facebook algorithms. Now you're just being stupid and trying to destroy evidence in a way that doesn't work anymore. You go ahead and try to destroy the evidence. The fact is, at that point, you're committing a felony. That's only one of many felonies that Scott DaCosta committed. One of many felonies committed by Nebraska State Patrol. Now, Nebraska State Patrol says it's not their job to police the police, but when Garden County Sheriff Michelle Rodriguez beat the hell out of her girlfriend who went to investigate, oh, that's right, Nebraska State Patrol. And it didn't take them years to do it. I'm sure they didn't repeatedly tell those people, oh, well, it's not our job, it's not our job, it's not our job, it's not our job, it's not our jurisdiction, crap like that. Like, in these situations, these recordings with these multiple agencies, a lot of those recorded calls are here on my YouTube. They're on my YouTube. And they're here to stay. There's also a lot of evidence that's on my YouTube that can't be found anywhere else. That's because a lot of the stuff that those recordings were made on, those phones, those computers, were stolen. And police wouldn't do anything about it. Now, we tried to find a place local where I can get my broken phone that Robert Warnick smacked out of my hand. We're trying to find a place where we can get that fixed. There isn't a place local. The nearest place is like 2 hours away, if there is a place there. And then there's the fact that we're in the middle of the fucking boonies, so even if that place is able to repair it, it'll be 2 to 3 weeks before they're able to get the parts in to repair it. I'm wholeheartedly and willing to buy another phone to have that replaced, to have the screen taken off of a brand new phone and put on my broken phone so that I can show The Assault by Robert Warnick. Now, a lot of the things that I claim can be proven. They absolutely are able to be proven, but not when my predators have control of that evidence. Not when people like Scott DaCosta get to decide whether or not that body camera is going to be shown, whether or not he's going to destroy that body camera or that body camera evidence. Now, Ed's a fucking moron. And don't get me wrong, I've had my moronic moments. One of them was allowing Ed to touch my computers. But there's also the fact that I do like him. You know, he's not trying to do this stuff to be harmful. When he was threatening to kill people and threatening to assault people and all that stuff, he wasn't doing it out of malice. He was doing it because he wanted to sound impressive. He also wanted to talk about how he had beaten up somebody in front of the cops. That was doing the cops' jobs for them. Obviously, that's not something I am okay with. I don't go running around threatening to kill people. I don't run around threatening to assault people. Matter of fact, when I made videos about the fact that I'm not willing to kill people and not willing to assault people, and I have to listen to people like Ed nearly everywhere I go telling me, well, I'd have shot this person and I'd have shot that person. Really? Is that really what you want me to do to these people? Is that really your solution? Because that will make these people martyrs, and I'm not okay with that either. I also showed Mandy the situation, at least part of it in Rawlins, Wyoming. I can prove that these things happen nationwide. There's also the situation with Laura Nelson. She wants to hide behind her son. Alright. I can show in all of this that I was thinking about all of these people's children every step of the way. Their children were more important than my own life. Their children were more important than my own safety. Now, people like Harley, yeah, she screwed up pretty fucking big. We all screw up at some point in our lives, but you know what? You can get back on your fucking horse and ride again. Now, I'd wholeheartedly intended on not talking to her ever again, but I noticed that her and my friend Brett Roloff were in the same group, one that I had started years ago, so I started typing with her. We had a good conversation. She even offered things that I'm not comfortable with. And I'm not talking about sex, that's not it at all. She wanted to help me out, and in the way that she wants to help me out, I don't want that, because Sheriff DaCosta, until he is in prison for his crimes, can continue to use me and threaten them and their children and threaten them with CPS for helping me, even with housing. So I need to make sure that they don't have that being held over their head by a dangerous predator like Scott DaCosta. Now, obviously, I'm only using first names, but this isn't something that I ever should have been put into. When I went to Ventus's for help, I needed somebody who could actually show up in court and speak up. And instead, when Stephanie got there, she was all over Ventus's nuts. So there's a couple of the videos where you might hear people copulating in the background. That's Stephanie and Ventus. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. I'm telling you, I'm sorry beforehand that that's in the video. And also to Stephanie's husband, yeah, I'm sorry that you're going to have to listen to your wife having sex in that video with another man. It also shows that her husband called me 37 times in one day, and she's telling me just to ignore him. She's the one that gave him my number. I recorded everything because I had to. Because people were offering to help, and then it was just, like for Stephanie, for example. Primarily, the first time that she came down, she did help out, but also it was kind of a vacation and kind of not. The second time she came down, she treated the whole thing like a vacation. Meanwhile, the money that I was going to give Ventus to help me out, and the money that I was going to give Stephanie to help me out, I didn't have that. I had to use it to bail myself out of jail on false charges from Larimer County, where I was assaulted and drugged. Now, this is statewide. They did this to Michelle Rodriguez in Boulder, and then claimed that she overdosed. No, they injected her with drugs for trying to turn in the cops for assaulting her. And she won her case. Then there's Sammy Leon Lawrence IV. I don't really like him. He wanted me to try to understand his disabilities, and I made the effort. He made zero effort to understand mine. Also, he gets to stay in Boulder County. He doesn't have a bunch of people trying to beat him up all the damn time over shit that never fucking happened. I am proud of that man for standing up for the homeless and for showing the threats, harassment, and abuse that the homeless have to go through. And a lot of people want to be mad because his words weren't coming out right. He was scared fucking shitless. He was being fucking assaulted by Waylon Lolatai, who has an Instagram account all about police brutality. He has repeatedly, in these situations where police brutalize people, use of force Friday. Use of force Friday. No. Just because I don't like Sammy Leon Lawrence IV as a human being, especially as far as him basically having a different set of rules for him than he does for everybody else, he was doing the right thing in that moment. He was doing the right thing. Now, what's the difference between Samuel Leon Lawrence IV videotaping what was happening to the homeless and that man who was videotaping Zaid Atkinson? Homelessness. That man who was recording from inside of the house had the protection of the house. You can also see that, yeah, the big black man carrying a shotgun is Waylon Lolatai. It's nasty. So, of course, poor Ventus. And I'm sorry, Meg, you know, I wanted to keep as much as I could a secret for your safety and so on and so forth, but my safety needs to be a concern. My family's safety needs to be a concern. And all of these other people's safety needs to be a concern. I can't just think about you. I can't just think about your family. I can't just think about Candace's family. I can't just think about Mandy's family. I can't just think about the other Mandy's family. I can't just think about Candace's family. I gotta think about all of these people. All of them. All of their families. All of their children. Now, some of them, yeah, they had proof and they had evidence that they were being threatened and harassed. There's other ones that show me the evidence. Are you fucking lying to me? Or are you telling the truth? If you're telling the truth, you should have no problems coming forward telling the truth in public. You should have no problems coming forward and actually proving the shit that you say is correct. But you can't. You have to pick little bits and pieces out of context to try to pretend I'm the bad guy. And that's the thing with Mandy, being able to see it, being able to actually scroll through my Facebook, being able to actually scroll through the messages with these people. Now, of course, then there's the fact that these guys just call me mentally ill and their crimes go away. Natalie Bollinger wanted to call me mentally ill for telling the truth about her family. I exposed Ted Bollinger with her email. I also said that she was on heroin. And you know what? I tried for most of the year to keep her secrets, to try to deal with this in a peaceful way. And she went out of her way at every juncture to prevent us from having a peaceful resolution. She had my phone number. She had the ability to give my number to the police and have them call me. We should have had an arbiter to take care of this. It is not okay for them to perpetrate so many hate crimes against a disabled person, and I am disabled. That's the problem with being an at-risk adult. I've said that repeatedly. And Mandy, she's looked up many of these laws as well. I mean, she was telling me stuff that I already knew. And, you know, I was telling her I already knew that, I already knew that, I already knew that. I've been at it a while. But then there's also her personal experiences that she's been able to share. And, yeah, them preventing me from going to any of those court dates or showing evidence or facing my accusers, these are all felonious. They're not misdemeanors. They're not misdemeanors in Colorado. They're not misdemeanors in Nebraska. These are felonies. Coordinating with my predators to prevent me from having an honest court date, these are even more felonies. Obstruction of justice, abuse of power. I mean, these are things that are not little crimes. Conspiracy, and we're not talking about alien conspiracies. Conspiracy has a whole bunch of different crimes that are attached to the word conspiracy. Like, of course, these people who are conspiring to commit murder. Yes, many people worked together. Of course, they didn't commit murder, did they? I'm too fucking loud. I'm too fucking public. If you kill me, people are actually going to look. So they can't kill me because they'll make me a martyr. Anyway, my other computer, I'm still trying to get it to work. It ends up just freezing on the front screen. From time to time, it will actually allow me to click on it and log in. The problem that I got is that Ed is a fucking idiot. I never should have let him touch my computer. But also, I never should have been put into a position where I had to trust somebody like Ed. Also, there's stuff with Marcia Estrada that's a lot more condemning. There's also some stuff with Penny Cooper where you get to hear that she is very intimidating vocally towards me. When I try to explain, I need to turn in these crimes, I need to stop this abuse, and we're focusing on housing. You can hear through it all of this where, you know, we're jumping through a bunch of hoops that obviously aren't going to work, and I explained to her from the beginning why. But we're jumping through the hoops anyway, just so that we can say that we did. Over and over and over again. I still have to take the abuse until a mandated reporter is willing to look at this stuff and actually do something. And that's a great thing about Mandy. She can speak up. She knows these people. She knows these scenarios. In order for me to get help, I have to be able to afford a lawyer. People think that there's all these free pro bono lawyers all over the place. No. No. There's not. And they especially don't care if you're fucking homeless. Now with Meg, there's a lot of situations there that I just simply can't afford to hide her name with everybody else that's at stake. If all of these people came forward and told the truth, well, most of them I've recorded anyway. So it's their choice whether or not they come forward and tell the truth. Some of these people got a real slap to the face. I don't mean a literal slap to the face, because I'm not violent. But they said things that were untrue, and then I posted up the proof in their words. Just like I did with Natalie Bollinger. Those were her words that she called slander.